Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Yamunatira Vanachari
Yamunatira Vanachari
Yamunatira Vanachari
Yamunatira Vanachari
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Nitai Gaur Hari Bo Nitai Gaur Hari Bo
Nitai Gaur Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Nitai Gaur Hari Bo
Jai Jai Prabhupada Jai Srila Prabhupada
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Srila Prabhupada
Gaur Premanande
Hari Bo
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
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 Narayanam Namaskatyam
Narayana Namaskrityam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Sarasatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayamudirayat
Tato Jayamudirayet
Nastapraeshu Vabhadreshu
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki.
We're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, text number 24. Chapter 8 is the prayers by Queen Kunti. Vishanmahagne Purushada Darshanad
Vishamahne Purusha Darshanat
Vishanmahagne Purushada Darshanad
Vishamahne Purusha Darshanat
Asat Sabaya Vanavasa Krichrata
Asat Sabaya Vanavasa Krichrata
Asat Sabaya Vanavasa Krichrata
Asat Sabaya Vanavasa Krichrata
Mride Mride Neka Maharatastrato
Mride Mride Neka Maharatastrato
Mride Mride Neka Maharatastrato
Mride Mride Neka Maharatastrato
Dronyastratastasma Harer Birakshita
Dronasyatrasya harebhirakshita.
Dronyastratashasma harebhirakshita.
Dronastratasma harebhirakshita.
Vishanmahagne purushada darshanad.
Vishanmahine purushada darshanat.
Asat sabaya vanavasa krichrata.
Asat sabaya vanavasa krichrata.
Mride mride neka maharataschyato.
Mride mride neka maharataschyato.
Dronyastrataschasma harebhirakshita.
Dronasya tatraschasma harebhirakshita.
Vishanmahagne purushada darshanad.
Vishanmahagne purushad sadarshanat.
Asat sabaya vanavasa krichrata.
Asat sabaya vanavasa krichrata.
Mride mride neka maharataschyato.
Mride mride neka maharataschyato.
Dronyastratashasma harebhirakshita.
Dronasya tatrasya sma harebhirakshitaha. Vishanmahagne purushada darshanat.
Vishanmahagne purushada darshanat.
Asat sabaya vanavasa krichrata.
Asat sabaya vanavasa krichrata.
Mride mride neka maharataschyato.
Mride mride neka maharataschyato.
Draunastrascha harebhirakshitaha.
Dronyastratashasma harebhirakshita.
Vishanmagnesh purashadda darshanat.
Vishanmahagne purushada darshanat.
Asat sabaya vanavasa krichrata.
Asat sabaya vanavasa krichrata.
Mride mride neka maharatastrato.
Mride mride neka maharataschyato.
Draunye ashtrata kasma harebhirakshita.
Dronyastratashasma harebhirakshita. Vishat.
Vishat.
From poison.
From poison.
Maha Agne.
Magagne.
From the great fire.
From the great fire.
Purusha Ada.
Purusha Ada.
The man-eaters.
The
The man-eaters.
Darshanat.
Darshanat.
By combating.
By combating.
Asat.
Asat.
Vicious.
Vicious.
Sabaya.
Sabaya.
Assembly.
Assembly.
Vanavasi.
Vanavasi.
Exiled to the forest.
Exiled to the forest.
Krichrata.
Krishrata.
Sufferings.
Sufferings.
Mride mride.
Mride mride.
Again and again in battle.
Again and again in battle.
Aneka.
Aneka.
Many.
Many.
Maharata.
Maharata.
Great generals.
Great generals.
Astrata.
Ashrata.
Weapons.
Weapons.
Droni.
Droni.
The son of Dronacharya.
The son of Dronacharya.
Astrata.
Ashrata.
From the weapon of.
From the weapon of
Cha.
Cha
And.
and
Asma.
Asma.
Indicating past tense.
indicating past tense.
Hare.
Hare,
O my Lord.
O my Lord,
Abhirakshita.
Abhirakshita,
Protected completely.
protected completely.
Completely.
Translation. My dear Krishna, your Lordship has protected us from a poison cake, from a great fire, from cannibals, from the vicious assembly, from sufferings during our exile in the forest, and from the battle where great generals fought. And now you have saved us from the weapon of Ashwatthama. Purport. The list of dangerous encounters is submitted herein. Devaki was once put into difficulty by her envious brother. Otherwise, she was well. But Kunti Devi and her sons were put into one difficulty after another. For years and years together, they were put into trouble by Duryodhana and his party due to the kingdom. And each and every time the sons of Kunti were saved by the Lord. Once Bhima was administered poison in a cake. Once they were put into the house made of shellac and set afire. And once Draupadi was dragged out and attempts were made to insult her by stripping her naked in the vicious assembly of the Kurus. The Lord saved Draupadi by supplying an immeasurable length of cloth, and Duryodhana's party failed to see her naked. Similarly, when they were exiled in the forest, Bhima had to fight with the man-eater demon Hidimba Rakshasa, but the Lord saved him. So it was not finished there. After all these tribulations, there was a great battle of Kurukshetra, and Arjuna had to meet such great generals as Drona, Bhishma, and Karna, all powerful fighters. And at last, even when everything was done away with, there was the Brahmastra released by the son of Drona Acharya to kill the child within the womb of Uttara. And so the Lord saved the only surviving descendant of the Kurus, Maharaj Parikshit. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitan Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Paevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We're missing Pirangelo this morning.
He's there.
Is he?
Yeah, with the Gauranita is he.
Oh, okay.
He's changed his background.
Oh, okay. All right, so Queen Kunti is describing all the different problems which they faced. We heard yesterday how Krishna gives special favor to the devotees who are put into difficulties. So Kunti and her sons, they were put into many difficulties. And we're told about them here, right? First of all, it said, Lord Krishna protected us from a poison cake. That happened that, Bhima, he likes to eat, he has a voracious appetite. He's called Vrikodar, has a voracious appetite. So the Kauravas, headed by Duryodhana, they knew that Bhima, he likes to eat. So they arranged to have this special cake made, and they put poison in the cake. And of course, Bhima came and he saw the cake, he immediately ate the whole thing. And he ate the whole thing, it was full of poison. And so he fell unconscious. And the Kauravas came and they saw him and they thought, he's dead, So what they did, they dragged him to a pond, and they thought, we'll put him in this pond and let his body be in there. So they threw him into this pond, where there was a lot of fish. And the fish in this pond, they were also poisoned. So when his body came in the lake there, these fish all came and they began to bite on the body of Bhima. And what happened was the poison from the fish neutralized the poison from the cake. And so Bhima got back to consciousness and he came out. So he was saved. It was very fortunate. And then, that was one case. Then the second case, they said Krishna saved them from a great fire. So that happened that the Kauravas, they built this special house which was made of shellac. And this shellac is highly flammable. It burns very easily. So they built this whole big house for the Pandavas. And they told the Pandavas, we built this house for you. You can go and live there, you know, it's for you. So Pandavas went to live there. But they knew it was very dangerous. Some danger was there, because why? Before the Kauravas were not nice to them, why would they build a big house, you know? So anyway, they went there. But when they were in the house, they arranged a secret tunnel that if there was any danger, they could get out through the tunnel. And so it happened one night, there was a big storm. And what happened, one old lady came there with 5 sons. And she needed shelter. So they gave her a room in the house. This old lady came with 5 sons and they were all staying there in the house. But in the night there was a big fire. And when the house got on fire, then the Pandavas, they got out through the tunnel. They could get out through the tunnel, the secret tunnel. And the 5 sons and the old lady, they burned in the fire. So after the fire was over, they found the body, and they found the body of the old lady and 5 men, and they thought, oh, the Pandavas and Kunti are all dead. And they thought, oh, very sad, you know, the Kauravas were pretending to be sad, they were happy. But they didn't know actually Pandavas were still alive. So Krishna saved them from that situation. And then there was another thing, the vicious assembly from cannibals, from the vicious assembly, and from sufferings during our exile in the forest. So it happened, from the vicious assembly, that's referring to the time when Duryodhana and the party, they forced the Pandavas into a gambling match. And they lost all their kingdom and they lost everything. And then they said, no, you still have your wife. And so they bet the wife and they lost the wife also. And so when Draupadi was lost, then they said, okay, she's our property now. And they dragged her out. And that time, Draupadi was actually contaminated. She was in her menstruation cycle that time, and they dragged her out, and they tried to disrobe her. And of course, the Pandavas, they couldn't do anything, because they were duty-bound not to interfere. So they had to sit there and watch Draupadi being insulted. And Draupadi had nobody to help her. But then she called out to Krishna, and she put her hands up in the air and she just called out, oh Govinda. And Krishna manifested himself as the unlimited sari. And they were trying to take the cloth off Draupadi, but the cloth never ended. So then they saw that they could not disrobe her. So in this way, Krishna had protected Draupadi from this vicious assembly. And then cannibals, Bhima had to fight with this cannibal, Hidimba Rakshasa. Hidimba Rakshasa, he was a flesh eater. Rakshasas, they could eat human flesh. So it happened that there was this Brahmana family, they were supposed to give their son to this demon to eat, because this Rakshasa was eating people all the time. So they made an arrangement with the demon that we will give you, every month we'll give you 1 person to eat. You know, and so it came time for this one Brahmana family that they have to give the one member of their family to the demon to eat. And it happened that the Pandavas were staying in the home of this Brahmana at that time. And they saw the Brahmana was very unhappy, and then they asked what was wrong, and he said, have to go and be eaten by this demon. So they said, oh, you don't need to go, let Bhima go. And so what happened, they said Bhima, and they said a big cartload of food, because they had to give a big cartload of food to this demon as well. So Bhima saw all the food, he began to eat all the food, and he ate all the food, he was enjoying the food. And then the demon, Hidimba Rakshasa, he came and said, where's all the food? And he saw, oh, Bhima's eating it. So then they had a big fight, and Bhima fought with this demon, Hidimba, and Bhima defeated him and smashed him. And so that was the danger from the cannibals. And the vicious assembly was the gambling match. And then suffering during our exile in the forest. So the Pandavas, of course, after they lost Draupadi, then they had another gambling match, and the wager was that if they lost, they would go into exile and live in the forest for 12 years. And then 1 year they had to be incognito. 1 year they had to be incognito. It means nobody should recognize them anywhere. And if they got found out, then they'd have to go back and live in the forest again for another 12 years. So like that, they were doing these things. They had so many problems. When they were in exile, there was always dangers. Somehow they survived, and then it came after the exile was over. They came back and they wanted some kingdom, and they asked Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, give us some land to rule, because we're Kshatriyas, we have to have some land. And so they said, no, we won't give you even enough land to go through the eye of a needle. So then they said, okay, then we have to have war, we have to fight. And so they said, yes, they said we should fight. And so they wanted a war. The Kauravas, they actually wanted a war. And so they had a great battle, and the Pandavas, they were outnumbered, but Pandavas had Krishna on their side. And because Krishna was on their side, they were able to overcome all the difficulties. And they were able to defeat people like Drona and Bhishma and Karna, who were all very powerful fighters. But they were able to defeat all of them, and they ruled the world. Maharaj Yudhishthira sat on the throne. But after everything was done, although they won the battle of Kurukshetra, Ashwatthama, the son of Dronacharya, he came, and he didn't want any of them to survive. So he released his Brahmastra weapon against Uttara, because Uttara was carrying the child of Abhimanyu in her womb, and she was going to deliver that child. That child, of course, became Maharaj Parikshit. So that the Brahmastra was thrown by Ashwatthama. Ashwatthama was so angry because his father, Dronacharya, had been killed in the battle of Kurukshetra. So he wanted to kill all the Kauravas. And he saw how Bhima had already killed all of the sons of Dhritarashtra at the battle of Kurukshetra, but still there was this child in the womb of Uttara, and he thought, if this child lives, then he will become the emperor, he will rule the kingdom. So he thought, let me kill the child, and he threw the Brahmastra weapon. But Krishna saved the child. And actually they say that what happened was the Brahmastra weapon burned the child, so Krishna replaced the body of that child. The soul was the same, Krishna just gave it a new body. That's how some people say. Some people say that Krishna just protected the child from the Brahmastra weapon. Some other people say, no, the Brahmastra weapon took effect and burned the body, but Krishna replaced the body with another body, but the same soul. So Maharaj Parikshit, anyway, he was the child in the womb of Uttara, and he was saved. So he was the final descendant of the Kuru dynasty. So he saved them. He went on to rule the kingdom, and he also had to deal with Kali Yuga. When Kali Yuga, because after the battle of Kurukshetra, then Kali Yuga began, and the personality of Kali came in. And Maharaj Parikshit, he had to deal with the personality of Kali. So he was very important. Maharaj Parikshit could control the personality of Kali. He wouldn't allow anybody to do any irreligious activities in his kingdom. And he told the personality of Kali, you can only stay where there are sinful activities like meat eating, intoxication, gambling, and illicit sex. You cannot stay any other place. But the personality of Kali said to Maharaj Parikshit, he said, then I won't have anywhere to stay if it's like that. Because in your kingdom, there's nowhere where these things are going on. So you have to, because Kali had surrendered to Maharaj Parikshit. So when somebody surrenders to another person, then they have to accept that surrender. So Maharaj Parikshit accepted Kali's surrender, and he told him, you can stay where the sinful activities are going on. But Kali said, then there's nowhere to stay, because there's nowhere where these sinful activities are going on. Maharaj Parikshit was so powerful and controlling, he had everybody following the principles. And so then Maharaj Parikshit said, then you can stay where there is hoarding of gold. And because where there's hoarding of gold, then people will do these sinful things. The more wealth people have, the more prone they are to sinful activities. And we see, because there's too much money in the world, people have too much money, so they go drinking, and drugs, and gambling, and all of these things are going on. Meat eating everything. This is because people have too much wealth. They don't know how to use their wealth. So actually the system is that they should give 50% of their wealth for the service of Krishna. That's actually that will save people from so many sinful activities. That is Prabhupada's principle in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It says like that. Let the governments should take 50% of the wealth and use it for Krishna consciousness, to put on nice Krishna conscious festivals, and to print books like scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and distribute them, and distribute prasadam. That's how we should use wealth, to make nice temples and do nice worship of the deities. Right? People don't know how to use wealth. They get money and they use it for all sinful things. So we have to educate people about how to properly use money. So Krishna saved the Pandavas from so many dangers, and Kunti is remembering them. And she said, now you saved us from the weapon of Ashwatthama. Okay, any questions? Anybody? After hearing about all these calamities, you see the next verse, text 25, Queen Kunti said, let all these calamities happen again and again. She's not complaining. She's not saying, oh, why did this happen to me? She's saying, yeah, let these things happen more, because when I'm in danger, when we have difficulties, then it's natural I will think of Krishna. So she's happy. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that material opulence and sense gratification are very bad for devotional service. Bhogaisvarya prasatanam taya parita chetasam bhayavasayatmika buddhi samadona vidiyate. In the minds of those who are attached to material opulence and sense gratification, The resolute determination for devotional service does not take place. So, Bhoga and Aishwarya, material opulence and sense gratification. We get attached and we get bewildered by these things and we forget Krishna. So this is the danger. So we have to be very careful in material life, material world. We have to be very careful how to spend money, how to use it properly for the service of Krishna. So actually people who are Sudras, they're not given any money. They're just given food and clothing and a house, place to stay. That's all they need. If they have that, then the problems are solved. They have a house, they have somewhere to live. Just like Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi, he had the program, give everyone roti, kapre, and makan. Roti, give them bread, chapati, and kapre, means cloth, and makan is a house. And so if people have these things, it's everything you need. You don't need everything else, all the other things, the luxuries which people have today. And you know, the luxuries make it difficult to remember Krishna. But simple living and high thinking is very good for our Krishna consciousness. So we try to encourage like that. And difficulties come, then we should welcome them. Thank you, Krishna. We should think, yeah, I'm such a rascal, I deserve to suffer more. Whatever difficulties I'm getting, Krishna is only giving me a little bit. Krishna is protecting me, He's just giving me a little difficulty. We thank Krishna. That's how a devotee sees difficulties, he sees troubles. He says, thank you, Krishna. We don't say, oh, why me? Why did this happen to me? No, we say, thank you, Krishna. And we take advantage of it to become more focused on Krishna.
Because difficulties make us humble and take more shelter of Krishna. That's why she's praying like that, right, Guruji?
Yes, yeah, difficulties will make us think of Krishna. Certainly we'll feel helpless. So humility is one of the items of surrender. Surrender means to be always meek and humble and to have no desire other than Krishna's desire. Okay, any questions? Anyone?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, dear Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisance for Guru Srila Prabhupada. Guru Maharaj, what level should we have to understand the mood of Queen Kunti? To accept all our calamities or all our difficulties, like she said, to ask about difficulties. Because we have a lot of anarthas and they disturb us to say like this, we are afraid of difficulties, usually. So how can we approach such a level?
How can we approach a level like Kunti?
Yeah, level like Kunti, to ask about difficulties.
Well, it's not like we have to ask Krishna for difficulties. Difficulties will come anyway. You don't have to ask Krishna send me difficulties. You're going to get them anyway. But we have to be able to deal with the difficulties when they come. You know, we cannot all be on Kunti's level. Kunti is a very, very advanced devotee. But we can remember her example, how she sees the difficulties, and we can remember how she's tolerating all these difficulties, and she went through it. It's just the nature of the material world. And so hearing about the difficulties which even people like the Pandavas and and Queen Kunti went through, it should make us more determined to get out of the material world and to become Krishna conscious, not to remain here in this material world, always having so many troubles, right? So that it should be an impetus for us to become very serious in our Krishna consciousness, so that we can become qualified to go back home, back to Godhead. Right? This is the idea. We have to learn from Queen Kunti how to become Krishna conscious. And certainly the difficulties they help. And Prabhupada would say, an easy-going life of sense gratification, that's not very good. You know, we sit at home, you sit in your comfortable house, and you sit there and chant Hare Krishna. You know, it's not very good, because you get very comfortable and you won't chant with any feeling. But when you're in difficulty, when you're in danger, then you chant very nicely. Just like one time, the devotees in the big temple in Mumbai, I think it was at Chowpatty, they were having a big program, and there were many people in the temple. And what happened then? There was all trembling, and the ground was all shaking, and they got word there's going to be an earthquake. So everybody rushed outside, and they were all chanting. You know, it was it was night, it was dark, and they were all outside, and they were all chanting. They didn't know what's going to happen. The ground was shaking. Any moment the ground could open up and swallow them. So everybody was in fear. Everybody was chanting. They said it was the best rounds they ever chanted. They chanted the best rounds in that situation. So when you're in some kind of danger like that, you see, it makes it, wow, you know, have to become very serious. Have to chant very carefully. So like that, we will take Krishna consciousness more seriously when we're in danger or when we have difficulties. So this is something we have to understand. But we should become, if you can become serious without difficulties, that's better. Why wait for the difficulties to come to become serious? We should become serious about Krishna consciousness now, before the difficulties come. We should become very serious and chant very carefully. Take shelter of the holy name and remember Srila Prabhupada's teaching, Lord Chaitanya's teaching. To chant the holy name, fix our mind on Krishna. Don't wait for the buildings to start falling down. Don't wait for our body to fall apart. That's why Maharaj Kulashekar is one of the Alwars from South India. And he said, let me die now while I can still chant the holy name. Because if I have to wait for my death to come, then my body will be full of mucus and I won't be able to chant properly. So it's better I die now while I can still chant properly. If I have to wait for death to come, I may not be able to chant because of the health condition. So it's better I could die now. It's very famous. In South India, everybody knows this verse. Krishna tvadiya padapankaja pancharantam Adhyaiva me vishatumana sarajahamsa Prana prayana kapaye kapavatapitaye kantavaro dhanavido smaranam kataste. Maharaj Kulashekar, one of the Awars, long before Lord Chaitanya, he said, let the swan of my mind, he compares his mind to the swan. He said, just like the swan plays with the lotus flower and it gets the stem of the lotus wrapped around its neck, he said, let the swan of my mind become entangled in the stem of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. And let me die now in that condition. But if I have to wait for death to come naturally, I don't know if I can still chant the holy name. Because you may be incapacitated. So better we could die now while we can still chant. Okay, understand?
Maharaj?
Yes, yes, Guru Maharaj, thank you very much.
Yes, Prabhu?
Yes, you speak about dying now. We are still some senses, we can still understand, we can still speak, we can still... But dying now, it's nothing to do with suicide. I mean, I can kill myself, but Lord Prabhupada said suicide is not a solution.
Yeah.
Because in Switzerland, here in Switzerland, we have a kind of organization, legal, it's called Exit. If you get too sick, too depressed, or whenever problems you have, you can go to this organization and they organize your departure. You take some medication, you take some, you suicide yourself. It's assisted death. So, but this is not what we are speaking about, right? Suicide is not an option.
Right.
Hmm.
Maharaj Kulashekar didn't commit suicide. Although he said like that, he didn't commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
But by saying this, he's reminding us. He's pointing out how important it is for us to chant the holy name while we can still chant. Not that we have to commit suicide, but we have to chant the holy name. And we have to take advantage while we can still chant, while we still have the power of speech. Use it to chant the holy name and to develop the attachment for the holy name. So this is the idea. Not that we have to, committing suicide, that's not the way out. What we do have to do is chant the holy name.
Yeah. Yes.
That's the important thing. Before we leave the body, we want to be chanting the holy name. All right? Okay. So
Just another question about Prabhupada. Why Prabhupada made the teaching in the book, the teaching of Queen Kunti? Because we got it in the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? That we are reading this mornings. And why Prabhupada had the idea to make a separate book, a precise book about Queen Kunti?
Well, actually the book is done by the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. It wasn't Prabhupada's plan. Prabhupada gave the classes, he gave the lectures, he was doing Srimad Bhagavatam, and he was giving lectures on Srimad Bhagavatam. He'd give class every morning. So at one point he was giving class on Queen Kunti's prayers. And so the people from the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, they got the idea to publish the book. To put the Prabhupada's lectures together and make a book.
Great. I see.
It wasn't that Prabhupada wrote the book. They just took Prabhupada's lectures.
They are lectures.
Yeah.
It's a book of lectures. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, many of the books are like that. You know, the lectures are from Prabhupada's lectures.
Yeah, right.
The
Yeah.
smaller books and teachings of Lord Kapila. That's also from lectures.
Okay. Wonderful.
But teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Prabhupada wrote that.
Okay. Which is a summary of Chaitanya Charitamrita? Or it's a summary of the Chaitanya Charitamrita?
Yeah, well, yeah, a lot of it is from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yeah, mainly it's from Chaitanya Charitamrita, right? But Prabhupada just wanted to write, he wanted to give us something about Lord Chaitanya. So very early on in the movement, Prabhupada wrote the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And then much later on, then he translated Chaitanya Charitamrita. You know, he didn't know if he'd get time to, in the beginning he just wanted to give us something about Lord Chaitanya. So he wrote that book about Lord Chaitanya. Just like he wrote the Krishna book, he didn't know how far he would get in translating Srimad Bhagavatam. So he wrote the Krishna book for us. So he did these things in the early years, the beginning of our movement. And then later on, we started to do more translation, verse by verse. Okay, is that, Mataji has a question?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Guru Maharaj, my question is related to humbleness. Like, I really want to know how should I think myself really the most fallen? Like, how should I think more humble? How should I cultivate the humbleness in me, Guru Maharaj? When I compare with my equals or lowers, like whether should I think as I am the imperfect, I am the most impure, or how should I feel, Guru Maharaj?
Well, yes, generally, devotees, we do want to be humble. Humility is an important quality, and the best way to be humble is by offering respect to others. Lord Chaitanya says in the Shikshastakam, Amanena Manadena. Right? We offer all respect, we give respect to others. Just like you meet devotees and we say, please accept my humble obeisances. Right? And we bow down before them. Like that, we do that every morning. We were doing it this morning, every day. We offer respect to the devotees. And when we take a phone call, the first thing we will say is, please accept my humble obeisances. And when we write a letter to someone, we will say, please accept my humble obeisances. So, that's just saying these things, we should also do it. We should, if you meet people, we can bow before them. And we can offer respect. One way you can offer respect is by bowing physically. The other way is just simply by the words. Just by saying, please accept my humble, and putting your hands together and bowing your head a bit. And the other way to do it is in the mind. Within the mind, we should want to respect others. So, we should not be eager to get respect, but we should want to give respect to others. So it's a very nice thing to do. You know, in family life, especially husband and wife, it's very nice if they bow to each other, you know. Wife come before the husband and bow, like that. The husband also bow, because Krishna is in the heart of everyone. So when we offer obeisances, we're recognizing Krishna in the heart of the person. So So we're bowing to Krishna. We're bowing to the super soul in the heart.
Okay.
So you have to see Krishna in everyone's heart. Then you can properly respect.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so we'll finish here today. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki,
Jai.
Lord Premanande.
Bhakti Vigna Vinash Narasimha Maharaj ki jai.